can use the different models and different designs in order to enhance your lesson plans or your teaching pedagogy or also your approaches in the classroom. So today the first technique that we would be discussing would be scaffolding. And as the name suggests, scaffolding is something that is a very important factor in terms of making the students learn the complicated curriculum in a more structured way, in a self-paced form. And when it is broken into fragments, automatically the efficiency of the learning, of the memory enhances. So, based on that theory, we would be seeing what exactly scaffolding is all about. Now, before we start the PPT, let me show you the diagram which actually justifies what scaffolding is in today's teaching curriculum. Now you can see that there are these small circles and in which you have seen some rubrics that have been mentioned. Now, scaffolding has a certain technique and certain rubrics which need to be worked upon and which provide clarity when they are done in a structured format. If you see the provisions under scaffolding, it's a directional approach. Directional approach means you decide what part to include, what part to exclude. You have that control over the content. Then highlight the critical tasks, features, every content that you design or every syllabus or portion that you have in your subject. There are certain very crucial elements and there are certain easy scoring elements. So you need to think from the perspective of the learners and then highlight the critical task features. Then comes the controlling frustration. Now, controlling frustration is kind of present in both the learners as well as the teachers. Now, it does happen that there are some very complicated contents which the learners are not able to immediately absorb. But through structured scaffold, we can very easily attend this particular technique. We can easily control their frustration, providing ideal solution paths. Now, if you are able to shortlist the number of learners in your classroom or in your learning environment, it will be good to kind of bifurcate them and then to gauge their ideal ways of learning and accepting any kind of a solution or any kind of a learning. So you can decide the learning path for them during scaffold. Indulging learner interest. Now, while making the learners aware of their cognitive abilities, when you break the materials or contents in small fragments, you automatically will make small deadlines, small targets from them, which they will be achieving every now and then after finishing every successful task. When the learner finishes successfully each task, you would be somehow making him indulge in the interest to know more, to want more, to understand more. Therefore, indulging the learner interest is something that the scaffolding does. Now, after we have seen this diagram, let me show you a cursory glance of the notes that we had. Now, scaffolding in education. You all must have read about Vygotsky and Vygotsky's terminology of zone of proximal development. Now, what is the zone of proximal development? Is between the distance between the achieved and the achievable. So that bridge, that gap between the achieved and the achievable is known as the zone of proximal development. This distance is measured through amount of scaffolding the individual receives. Now, if I am on the achievable I have achieved half of the things, I am on the higher side. And there are yet many things I need to achieve, I can achieve. And there is a stage when I have achieved. So that particular distance is something that the scaffolding helps to understand. Now, also we need to understand that Scaffolding, if it is properly channelized among the learners, it will be very I'm sorry, I got disconnected. Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay. So, like I told you, that these scaffolding techniques can be very self-achieving, because if you can make the child understand in a facial manner, in a face-wise situation, they can very easily themselves break into fragments, learn it, and then achieve the learning, and then move on. So that kind of a close development, an ascending order kind of a development, makes the child value the content more, understand the content better, and lastly, apply the content in a very judicious manner. Now, the types of support an adult could provide to the learners is, see, in nowadays classrooms, we handle close to 35 to 40 students, sometimes 45 also. But depending upon the infrastructures and also the pressure of finishing the curriculum on time, the syllabus on time, we sometimes do take a back seat in terms of catering to the needs of the individual child. This scaffold technique will give you an edge over the other usual techniques that you are incorporating while teaching in the classroom, primarily because scaffolding would be done for some certain individual target audience. It cannot be done for the entire group of children. So you need to identify your learners who actually require the scaffolding. And then when you identify that age group or that genre, you can very easily distribute the scaffolding technique to them. We would be also discussing as to how we will be doing the scaffolding technique based on three types that I'll discuss it further. But moving on, according to Iris Tabak, distributed scaffolding is of three types: differentiated scaffolding, redundant scaffolding, and synergetic scaffolding. I am not discussing much about these because the theory it is very simple. You can yourself, when you read it, you will be able to understand what exactly scaffolding is all about. Let me show you the presentation that I have saved for the scaffolding, which I find it to be a bit more kind of practically more viable for you, which I would request every one of you to please apply it, try it in your classroom, try it while designing the syllabus or the class lesson plan. This will help you. Now, what is scaffold? A scaffold is a temporary learning aid designed to help the student grow in independence as a learner. Once the skill the scaffold is intended to help has been mastered, the scaffold should be withdrawn. Just like when a child is learning how to ride a bicycle with the side supporting stand in the cycle, we train the child to automatically start balancing. And once the child has attained the mastery over how to cycle without the support wheels, we get those wheels removed, and the child is able to move forward pedaling without any support of an additional tire, that is additional stand. Now, similarly, in scaffolding also, it cannot be a lifelong eternity process. It needs certain brief timelines and certain immediate interventions. Scaffold, as the name suggests, is an intervention tool which the teachers use for children who can be identified as potential children who have problem in terms of learning or in terms of their cognitive abilities or at times due to the lack of attention. So scaffold is basically a technique which will help them to realize how, when it's done into bits or formats, how it is easy to remember. So scaffold is basically for those children who have a genuine problem of remembering. Now, uh, we have spoken about scaffold, and you have also seen the handouts in which I have told how the scaffolding technique can be done broadly by a teacher in the classroom, show and tell, and the kind of points I have mentioned. Please read the handouts that I've shared. But what exactly is scaffolding instruction? Now, as teachers, we need to have certain instructional understanding about different tools and techniques. Therefore, when you develop this kind of understanding, you can very easily, kind of adapt it and use it in your day-to-day lesson plans and classroom instruction. Now, what is scaffold instruction? A set of pre-reading, during reading, and post-reading activities specifically designed to assist a particular group of students in successfully reading, understanding, learning from, and enjoying a reading passage. Now, this is something that we focus upon. It's about the pre-reading, during reading, and the post-reading. Now, I being a language teacher, I have focused my scaffolding instruction on the language learner. But those who are from the life science background or from the mathematics or from any other background can modify this particular instruction according to their sensibilities. If it has to be for the mathematics kind of a subject, then what can be the pre-reading, during reading, post-reading activities? That is something that you need to understand and decide upon. Moving on, why use scaffolding instruction? Now, whatever we have discussed so far, without seeing the kind of presentation, can I have a guess from you people that why to use scaffolding instruction? Why it is important for us to use a scaffolding instruction? Anyone, please? I'm waiting. Yes, please. Why do we use scaffolding instruction? Yes, Hare Krishna ji, yes.
uh, actually give a specific concept about the matter.
Yes. So as I told you that scaffolding instruction, if you want to use it in a classroom, what is the first point that you feel would be your target in terms of making your child adapt to scaffolding?
What, ma'am?
Uh, like I told you that scaffolding instruction, if we are using scaffolding instruction, right? Scaffolding instruction, if we are using as a tool. So what
Yes.
will be your first focus as a teacher in your student? What do you want? The first point which you feel is very important for a scaffolding instruction.
Mm.
You can
No.
read the PPT and take a hint and probably then share it. Is the PPT not visible?
No. Yes, ma'am. Visible.
Okay. So what do you think? Rashmi Rekha ji has raised her hand. Rashmi Rekha ji can share if she wants to.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
मैम इस स्कैफोल्डिंग हम लोग इसलिए यूज करना चाहेंगे और यूज करते ही रहते हैं हम लोग क्लासरूम में, ताकि बच्चों को ये ना लगे कि ये चीज बहुत डिफिकल्ट है और हम कर नहीं पाएंगे. थोड़ा सा हम लोग अगर लाइन अप कर देते हैं, थोड़ा बच्चों को असिस्ट कर देते हैं, तो फिर देखने में आता है कि बच्चा खुद ही वो धीरे धीरे अपने आप ही फिर वो पूरा कर लेता है. तो फिर पूरा करने के बाद हमारी जिम्मेवारी वहां पर कम हो जाती है. जैसे कोई भी चीज है,
मैं
अगर
ये पूछ रही थी
जी.
पूछ रही थी कि स्कैफोल्डिंग इंस्ट्रक्शन जो मतलब आप इसको जब आप यूज करेंगे क्लासरूम में, ऐसे कौन सा पहला पॉइंट है या पहला जो मतलब प्राथमिकता किस चीज को देने वाली है?
सबसे पहले तो देखेंगे कि बच्चा को कहाँ दिक्कत हो रहा है, किस चीज की उसकी जरूरत है। उसको रीडिंग में प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है कि राइटिंग में दिक्कत हो रहा है कि उसका और किसी चीज में दिक्कत हो रहा है। तो पहले उसकी कमी को हम लोग पहचानेंगे पहले कि बच्चे को आखिर स्कैफोल्डिंग की कहाँ जरूरत है, वहां पर कहाँ उसे उसको असिस्टेंस चाहिए वहां पर। तो इस चीज को पहले हम लोग पहचानेंगे कि आखिर उसको कहाँ दिक्कत हो रहा है, कहाँ वो लैक कर रहा है। उसके बाद
हम
फिर
इसको अगर हम थोड़ा सा अच्छे से फ्रेम करें तो आइडेंटिफाइंग द
जी
टारगेट नीड्स ऑफ द स्टूडेंट।
ओके ओके यस यस
वेरी
मैम
गुड।
आइडेंटिफाई
यस, एसके तनवार जी।
यस मैम।
Yes,
मैम एम आई ऑडिबल?
yes, yes, you are audible.
मैम पहले तो ये क्लासरूम में क्या प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, प्रॉब्लम को पहले आइडेंटिफाई करना है। जैसे सोच लीजिए कि हमारा क्लासरूम में 40 स्टूडेंट्स है, एक मैथ करा रहा हूँ, उस टाइम में देखा जाए तो 10 स्टूडेंट को ये मैथ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। क्यों समझ में नहीं आ रहा है? कैसे 10 स्टूडेंट को, फिर इन लोगों को अलग करके इन लोगों को ये प्रॉब्लम को आइडेंटिफाई करना है। फिर उसके बाद नेक्स्ट स्टेप उन लोगों को कहाँ दिक्कत है, कहाँ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, वो प्रॉब्लम को थोड़ा असिस्ट करना है। कैसे करने से ये मैथ उस स्टूडेंट सॉल्व कर पाएगा, वो असिस्ट करना है। फिर एक तरीका से स्कैफोल्डिंग बन जा रहा है, फिर वो स्टूडेंट सीख जाएगा। फिर हमको उन लोगों को अलग छोड़ देना है कि वो करके दिखाए।
Yes.
ऐसे हो सकता है।
So moving on, the hands can be put down. I will again ask the question. Moving on, like the points that have been discussed so far by Rashmi ji and S.K. Tanwar ji. Most importantly, when you use a scaffolding instruction, it is very important that you identify your group of students. And the particular group of students, when they are identified, you provide them a certain text when they read, and then you must state the purpose for reading. Now, if I'm a language speaker, I'm sharing you my experience that those children who need some additional, kind of care in terms of enhancing their language skills, I would be catering to their needs, and I would be making them exposed to one style of reading, and I would be giving them constant materials which can be an additional add-on apart from their regular coursework. Now, if a child is weak or he needs some kind of a special attention, you're pumping in with some extra reading aids or extra materials for them will make them more, develop clarity in terms of understanding the content. Now, apart from this, the reading experiences also, that's why, okay, you will see this slide here, temporary support for students to use understanding and discussing the reading selection. Now, once you divert the child from the regular textbooks and pump in with more additional reading text or materials to them, you need to constantly support the child and also monitor them in terms of talking to them, taking the feedback or evaluating them based on their understanding of the reading. And methods to enhance student engagement with text, allowing for deeper understanding of knowledge. Now, if you see that the child is more or less exposed and is able to handle the preferred reading text that you have shared with him, you will try to, kind of raise the bar by giving them slightly better, reading contents in terms of the difficulty level. Now, the difficulty level is something that you need to understand and you need to take the call as a teacher. If you feel that no, the child needs close to 3 months, and the 3 months of time that you give to the child is adding on to the skills, adding on to the development of the child, then you must ensure that post 3 months you give him something which is a level up so that the child comes and catches the pace with the regular classroom learning. Moving on. the advantages of scaffolding instruction. Any strategy, any instructional design that we talk about have certain advantages as well as certain disadvantages. Before we discuss the disadvantages of scaffolding instruction, let us discuss the advantages of scaffolding instruction. Now, the first point that one needs to remember is a temporary support structure to assist the student's comprehension of the text. Now, as teachers, when we do the scaffolding instruction, we must always have some hands-on material with us to support and assist the students' levels. Okay, sometimes a group of 40 you have identified and then you have given them a particular task. There might be some exceptions there that the 20 of them among the 40 would not respond to the way you are expecting them to be. So you need to have a support structure to assist those kind of children and level up their pace of understanding or comprehending with the reading text that in general is followed by the entire class. The support structure that allows students to complete tasks and gain knowledge. Now, like I told you, advantages is something in which if you can work upon 20 students out of the 40, some kind of a success rate can be estimated or calculated from there on. Because if in a 40 half of the ratio है, तो 20 बच्चे अगर सक्सेसफुली आपके टास्क को कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं या स्ट्रक्चर को समझ जा रहे हैं तो वो आपके लिए एक अचीवमेंट है. Activities which can be used to self-monitor and internalize reading. Now, scaffolding does give you the leverage of kind of providing reading materials or texts that are outside the syllabus. Now, when I mean outside the syllabus, is something which we will be encouraging extensive reading or extensial reading techniques. Activities which provide ways for students to discuss and write about reading passages. Like I told you, scaffolding focuses on two aspects broadly, the reading aptitude and the writing skills. So if we can properly use scaffolding, there should be activities which provide ways for students to discuss and write about passages. They should be able to write book reviews. They should be able to vocally speak on the views of the books that they have read. And this will somehow make them coherent in their thoughts and they would be able to structure their sequence of thoughts in a very appropriate manner. Scaffolding also provides a plan to develop independent readers. Now, out of those 40, if 20 have achieved, there will be certain 5 exceptional readers who can be later on enhanced and probably polished to become one of the finest in the class. The scaffolding is a temporary support plan which should be removed when the learner reaches an independent reading level and their reading. Scaffolding includes an instructional framework. Now, scaffolding is something which is a very serious instructional technique, and if you want to use scaffolding in a classroom, you need to have certain very predetermined goals and objectives and a layout through which you plan to conduct the scaffolding instruction for the special children or for the children who need some special attention. Now, scaffolding doesn't always mean that the weaker students only will get the advantage of scaffolding. Scaffolding also happens for children who are above the cognitive level of the class and who feel that if you are exposed to more content outside the classroom, their knowledge will enhance. So, understanding and bridging the gaps of achieve and achievable, that is something where you need to very judiciously use scaffolding instruction. And please remember that scaffolding takes time. So this is one of the disadvantages of scaffolding. So when you do a scaffolding technique in a class, please set certain timelines and certain time limits, because once the child has self-paced himself and he's able to achieve the learning content, you can very successfully monitor and stop the scaffolding technique there. So this would be a very ideal instructional tool for framing your lesson plans or framing your unit plans when you start your teaching. Moving on. Now you see there are 3 tables that I have made. Now, instructional framework for scaffold. This is something which is based on my language learning as a teacher, how I have scaffolded for students. But in general, scaffolding technique is same. I might have used certain different purposes of some different text or something more related to language, but you can use it according to your subject. Now, what are the components of an instructional framework scaffold? Can anyone please read out so that let me just see whether you are able to understand what I have written. May I ask Aprajita, can you please read the first components of the instructional framework?
Yes, ma'am. Point you want to me to read
I want you to
initiating
read.
components.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first point is introduction, introduce content.
Initiating students. Yes.
Yes.
Can you please read all the 3 points?
Yeah, the second point is access prior knowledge. The third point is identify purpose of
No,
reading.
no. I want you to read what are the components of an instructional framework.
Okay, this is one you want me to read. Okay, ma'am. Initiating a student towards reading at independent levels, instructing meaning from the text, utilizing text meaning to apply or act upon the meaning students have constructed.
Okay. So can you just discuss what you have understood?
Yeah, ma'am. In this, as I can understand that, in the initiating students towards reading at them. So in the first point, we need to motivate student to learn on the independent level. Like we can
That is
guide
the
them.
self-paced learning.
Yeah,
Self-paced
self
learning.
running. They should put their effort and hard work that they can learn it in a better way, learn the points or the topic in a better way. Then the second one is constructing meaning from the text. It means that whenever like you are providing us the notes, what we have to do, we have to make it like understand and then make it right in our own language, in our own text. That yeah.
Yes.
And the third one is the utilizing text meaning to apply or act upon the meaning students have constructed, and then to apply those as a means of knowledge and instruction in learning the topics well.
Utilizing text meanings to apply or act upon the meaning students have constructed. Now, this happens primarily when we are in a language classroom. We tend to portray or, kind of through illustrations, we try to make the child develop understanding or, kind of association with different kind of words or verbs, etc. So what happens is that when the student has understood in a very brief way about what exactly the words we want to communicate or any sentence, we use it especially during the poetry classes. The poetry classes often have prose kind of poems wherein there are a lot of descriptions which have different kind of metaphors, similes, and all those kind of literary devices. So when the child is able to kind of understand in a general way, he himself will construct certain terminologies or certain way of describing those meanings. Now, as teacher, what I should do is I should encourage the child to discuss and construct the content in a palatable way so that we do not promote rote learning. Rote learning is something that I am dead against of, and I think in today's contemporary times when we are seeing so many changes in the curriculum approach and also with the NEP coming in, there is a very strong focus on children having open understanding of the content, and most importantly, they should be able to write it based on their understanding. So that is something that we must encourage. So these three are the important instructional framework components of scaffold. Can we move on? May I ask Ankita to read? Ankita, can you see the screen here? Is Ankita present? Ankita is not there. Can I ask Chandanji? Chandanji, can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
So would you like to read the initiating component teachers should remember?
Initiating
Screen is
component.
visible? Yeah, the screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please read on the points?
To introduce content, actually,
Yeah.
is about is the instruction
Yeah.
we given. Uh,
Second point.
assess prior knowledge. If regarding the subject matter, uh, we have to assess the if there is any knowledge regarding this topic. Uh, we have to assess.
And third.
Then identify purpose for reading. Why
Yes.
we are going to read the topic. Then identify the actual purpose of this matter.
Yes.
Then stimulate curiosity. Then among the students, the curiosity should be stimulated.
Yes.
But by which they can be eager to know about the topic.
Can anyone tell me how can a curiosity be stimulated in the classroom or among the students? Any one example or any one technique to stimulate curiosity? Yes, please. Think about it. Think about as a teacher when you are in the classroom, how can you stimulate the curiosity in the
May
child?
I? May
Yes,
I?
yes, please, ma'am. Yes,
It's use of teaching aids
yes, yes,
like chart, paper, this models or anything, teaching aid, any teaching aid that
yes,
will induce
yes,
curiosity.
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
When we have the visual stimulus activated, I think curiosity is bound to happen much more efficiently. However, even there are many other ways also. If there is a lack of audiovisual aids or you're not able to use audiovisual aids, then probably the next most suitable technique that you can use to stimulate curiosity is the competition or the grading way. If you can put a quiz, or if you can have a small test, or if you can have a small game sort of a thing, wherein a person is rewarded based on the accuracy of the performance. So this is a small way to stimulate curiosity in a child that probably in the first instance, there will be out of 15 students, only 5 or 6 will be responding. But when the stimulated curiosity comes in, and the next class you again try to do the same technique with them, you will see that the 6 students have magnified to 10 students. So a phase kind of a development you will see in terms of stimulating the curiosity. So there are 2 aspects to stimulate a curiosity in the teaching classroom or in a teaching scenario. Can anyone give me, apart from these 2 techniques, any other way to stimulate curiosity amongst slow learners? Apart from these 2 techniques, any other technique to stimulate curiosity among slow learners? This is a homework that I'm going to give you. please write one particular thing for slow learners. How can this curiosity be developed for the slow learners? Okay, and we will before we begin the next day's class, I will ask this particular question, and then I'll let you know what can be the probable answer for this. Okay, so moving on, develop
Yes,
a strategic plan. Yes, Hare Krishna ji, yes, please tell me.
ma'am, actually, by telling different types of stories
Yes,
regarding the topics,
yes, yes. There is a particular way of this way of narrating stories or kind of giving a previous knowledge of anything. This is a typical style. Do you know what kind of a style is this?
ma'am.
It is a style of kind of handling the class. Do you
Yes.
know the technical term for this particular style of teaching?
No, ma'am. Actually, this is a method.
Storytelling method.
Yes, yes. Aftabuji, you wanted to tell something?
Madam, this is a method of storytelling method.
Yes. So it is an inquiry.
Storytelling methods. When you use in a classroom, then students also.
Yes, you will be generating a sense of inquiry because when the child is going to be exposed to some kind of a story or some kind of a theory or some kind of a theoretical content, the sense of inquiry is developed. So that will also stimulate curiosity or want to know more about that particular topic. So yes, very good. Coming on to the last one of what components as a student one must remember. Can I ask Aftaburji to read what the students should?
Students should preview the contents and access prior knowledge built upon the experience and determine the purpose and raise questions and issues and recognize the needs to know and develop a strategic reading plan.
So, like I told you, if we have a teacher's plan to make a instructional component work, the students should also be clarified in certain aspects. The students must very clearly review the content. That is, the overall content must be reviewed by the child, and then in terms of learning or what they have learned in the previous knowledge, that is the previous built up knowledge or experience, how the child has successfully able to remember that. Okay, remembering that particular experience or prior knowledge, and then further determining the purpose. So what previous knowledge the child has, they will further determine the purpose of it. Okay? For example, I have done ABCD. I know what is ABCD. Now, this is my previous knowledge. After that, I started learning the 3-letter words, 4-letter words, and thereon. Then I started moving on from there to the more complicated world of grammar. Now, from grammar, I have now evolved and I'm now moving towards literature. So, this kind of a transition happening from the previous knowledge that a person had is helping the learner to further achieve the milestone. And also, when the purposes are determined, the learning is more structured and it is a very outcome-based learning. Like for example, मुझे आज verbs पढ़ने हैं, तो मैं सिर्फ verbs पर ही focus करूँगी. So my determined purpose today is to just master over verbs, and I will not pay attention to anything else. So what will be my outcome? The learning outcome will be very categorical, that my achievement of understanding verbs has been done successfully. So when we determine purposes with the children, the learning becomes more structured and more instructional. Recognize a need to know. There are many such cases wherein the children, despite of them knowing, okay, they tend to make errors. So you must be able to make the child acquaint with the alternative terminologies for the same word or for the same content. And when the child understands, okay, इसका ज़रूरत है, ओके ये ऐसा ऑल्टरनेटिव है ये सेम चीज के लिए, तो उस नीड को पहचानने के लिए आपको उसके अंदर उतना स्टिमुलस डालना पड़ेगा. Now, just the way we have developed a strategic plan, the child will also develop a strategic plan. Now, how can they develop a strategic plan? It's by maintaining their records. If they are finished, you give them certain formats, certain flowcharts in which they'll be writing, okay, this is how I've read today, this is what the words I've identified, this is how the questions I'm going to do. So day one is this, day two is this. So this strategic plan, when you use it with match with your strategic plan, the relevant or the necessary intervention can be done as a teacher, and that will immediately improve the child's performance. So moving on, what should the teachers consider and what should the students consider? Now, the teachers should consider class size because scaffold is not appropriate for a large number of class size. Needs of the students, like I told you, needs of the students primarily, this is the only reason that we are not able to successfully put some kind of intervention, because sometimes it's very difficult to understand the needs of the students if the class is of a dense population. Diverse learning styles are like we were discussing about the WARC model also earlier some time ago. Then we have also discussed about the simulation. So different kind of learning styles, how can that be included in this scaffold? Complexity of subject matter. Now, as I told you, every content has some complex structures, has some difficult things to remember. As teachers, how do we classify them and how do we make it understandable and palatable for different area of learners who are brilliant, who are not so brilliant, who are average, who are below average. So we must be able to understand the complexity of the subject matter. And the last one is time spent on a reading assignment. Now, it is not possible humanly for you to go for minute evaluation or spending time on their reading assignment. Therefore, you must make it more verbal and oral with them so that instantly when you're connecting with them or talking to them, you can understand or gauge their, abilities to understand any particular reading form. Also, you can evaluate them based on your oral records of the child's response. Now, what as a student one should focus is how deeply you are engaged. I am quoting our example of this class. I see so many of you very actively engaged in this particular classroom. You very actively participate, share your feedback through mails, to talk to me over your messages. So it is kind of a simpler way of engaging yourself. So this is one thing as a student or as a learner you must do. Interact and process information. Now, it is not possible for us to absorb all kind of information for all kind of subject contents. But when we constantly interact, we try to process the information which are best suited for our ability, or best suited to our needs. Associate with life experiences. Now, if you have to make learning impactful and learning to sustain, you need to make the child associate with the life experiences of yours, of theirs, so that the child is able to very clearly remember and acknowledge or quote what he has learned through the basis of the experience. The second last is organize. Very important that the child must be taught how to organize their way of learning, or how to study, or how to plan their, writing skills. So organize means basically you need to guide this child as to how they should maintain a timeline, how they should, kind of monitor themselves by writing constantly, reading, and then interacting. Think about the passage. Now, think about the passage is, like I told you, it is done from the language perspective. So, from the language perspective, when I mean think about the passage is, after reading, after finishing, what exactly I am able to interpret from that particular passage or from that particular reading content is something that the student should very clearly mention. if we have to call it in a general term, the learning outcome to a particular instructional style should be very categorically clear and very clearly defined. There should not be any kind of vague terminology used. Constructing component. May I request someone to please read what the teacher should keep in mind while constructing the components of scaffold? Anyone? Kanchan, can you read it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Kanchan, can you please read? Constructing components
ma'am.
the teacher should consider. Yes.
Yes. Teacher should consider class size, need of students, diverse learning styles, complexity of subject matter, time spent on a reading assignment.
Yes. And what should a student study?
Here depends upon the size of the class. This is first, because if class size is very small, then teacher can focus individually. But if class size is of about 50 or more than 50 students, then
Yes.
Teaching strategy will be changed according to the size of the class.
Yes.
And the second one is the need of the students. It is totally depends upon the types of the learner, because now time is changed. Inclusive education is implemented. So which type of student is in the classroom? This is a very important part for a teacher to know. And according to the need of each and every individual, the teacher have to plan their strategy.
Yes.
And depending upon that strategy, diverse learning style will be changed.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
there are lot of 8 type of learners. We have already read it about it. And the next one is that is complexity of subject matter. It's also depends upon the style of teaching. Means which type of method teacher will apply in their classroom, practical subject or history or whatever. The next is time spent on a reading assignment. Means time is also very important, ma'am, because if there is limited time or we have sufficient time to observe and teach, then we can elaborate or shorten the matter.
Yes. Yes. Students should engage. You can read that also, Kanchan.
Here, student, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Students should-
Second.
Students
Students engage, interact, and process information, associate with life experiences, organize, and think about the passage. Ma'am, here we can say that there is a lesson plan. I can how we engage our students in their teaching process.
Yes.
How I will introduce the topic with the previous knowledge, connect the previous knowledge with the present one.
Yes.
And then interact and process information. Then here the part is explanation and elaboration of the topic. Whatever I will teach my student, I relate these things with the elaboration, and I will take that example which will be suitable for their understanding level.
Yes.
And then associate life experiences. Ma'am, then can I take the real life experiences and I ask to share their views and experience with the class. Student, I can ask the student to experience their own experience. And then organize means I can say it is as apply their means whatever I taught, means knowledge level, then understanding. They have to apply in their real life with a skilled manner. This I can conclude in the organize and think about the passage. This is the evaluation or synthesis phase, ma'am.
Yes.
How to evaluate the things which we have already.
Yes. Very good. Utilizing components. As I told you that when we are constructing components, the most things that are utilized in a component is the teacher should write in clarity the objectives, that is the ideas of any particular, kind of a content or syllabus that they need to talk or they need to discuss. So write the ideas very clearly, clarify them, explain it to the children in clarity, whether there is a subjective explanation required, there's an objective explanation required. The teacher must able to bring in different variants in their approach. Model demonstrate. In science, we do this. Model demonstration is very active way of engaging the child, and this is a utilizing component for scaffold. Guide the students using the scaffold activity selected. Now, when you need a particular topic to be delivered and you feel that a particular scaffold method will be very successful, so you need to make your child also, kind of go adjust with your way. Okay, so you need to guide the child so that the child gets adjusted to your scaffold activity, and when they get adjusted, automatically their result will be much better than what is the traditional learning outcome expected. Now, as students, they also need to write the ideas and they need to understand and synthesize the information. When you are explaining to them, if we are explaining, they must be able to synthesize it. तो वो सुनेंगे तो वो synthesize कर पाएंगे. अगर हम उनको क्लैरिफाई कर रहे हैं कुछ पर्टिकुलर कंटेंट या आइडिया को, तो उनको क्लैरिफिकेशन के साथ साथ उन्हें उस कंटेंट को अपने दिमाग में समेट के भी रखना पड़ेगा और उसको बहुत तरीके से उसे अपने दिमाग में ऑर्गेनाइज करके रखना पड़ेगा. देन कम्स द रिफाइंड कॉन्सेप्ट्स. नाउ उन्होंने पहले किसी पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक पे कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ा, लेकिन आपके पर्टिकुलर कंटेंट की टेक्निक से उसे लगा कि इस पर्टिकुलर कॉन्सेप्ट को अब मैं थोड़ा सा और मॉडिफाई कर सकता हूँ, तो कॉन्सेप्ट रिफाइंड हो जा रहा है. फिर लास्ट वाला है मूव टुवर्ड इंडिपेंडेंस फ्रॉम यूजिंग द स्कैफोल्ड टेक्निक. तो जब आप देख लेते हैं कि आपके जो लर्नर्स हैं उनकी डिफिकल्टी लेवल अब इजी हो चुकी है, वो अचीव कर रहे हैं, तो इंडिपेंडेंट तरीके से उन्हें आप स्कैफोल्ड टेक्निक से हटा सकते हैं और उनको सेल्फ पेस की ओर आप उसे चैनलाइज कर सकते हैं. Now, how are scaffolding instruction activities sequenced? Like I told you, it is done from a language perspective. So first type is before reading scaffolds. Before reading scaffolds. Second is during reading scaffolds. And third is after reading scaffolds. So after reading scaffolds में हम लोग देखते हैं कि बिफोर और ड्यूरिंग के बाद आफ्टर में क्या उसके इफेक्ट्स हैं. Let me see. Yes. So before reading scaffolds में पहला point है 2-minute review description, that is the KWL scaffold. Now what is KWL? KWL is knowledge, what, and learn. Okay. So the knowledge, want, and learn. When we have the curiosity to know the knowledge, to achieve it more, that is where the K letter signifies. And then when we move on to the W, W is our want, our desire to find out what we already know or what we want to know more. Last is learn. Learn is something, what did I learn and what I still need to learn. So learning, as I told you, is an ongoing process. We must be always open to unlearn and relearn what we have learned. So as the sentence is an, kind of a paradoxical statement, it very truly and aptly justifies that this KWL scaffold is something that is a widely used strategy to foster active reading. When I mean to say active reading, it's basically the children who are currently into the academic career and actively pursuing their studies. So the KWL scaffold is something that we unconsciously use it in our day-to-day classroom. We make the child understand, we make the child to want to know more, we make the child learn, and this free process is such an innate process in all the subjects, whether it is a language, whether it's a life science, whether it's mathematics. The KWL scaffold is the most suited and successful technique of using scaffold. Why do we use the KWL scaffold? Because number one, it provides a structure which activates the prior knowledge, builds upon the prior knowledge, and then elicits the student's input. When you mean eliciting the student's input is since the knowledge is a prior knowledge and it is further building upon the prior knowledge, therefore the student is able to compare and kind of enhance what he has learned. So that transition phase of learning and then learned, this is where the student will be very clear in terms of eliciting his input or discussing his input or sharing his input. That, okay, ma'am, I learned this. This is what I had been told. But now after doing this, I have learned like this and I'm very happy to learn about this particular topic. So that is how the eliciting of the student input is important. Now, sequence of an instructional learning activity in scaffolding. Now, what is the author talking about? Now, I have designed certain questions in the no category, okay? So, what can you do in a before learning? You can state some questions. The questions can be in general kind of a कहते हैं ना कि खुराक दे रहे हैं हम कि आप और चीज़ों को सीखें और चीज़ों को जानें, तो वो खुराक आपको एक बहुत ही ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन के फॉर्मेट में देना है. और जब आप ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चंस बनाएंगे तो आपको इंटरप्रिटेशंस और डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ सजेस्टिव आंसर्स भी सुनने को मिलेंगे. So what is the author talking about? What are the heading and the subheading topics? Can I interpret graphs, charts, tables? Are there any margin notes? Is there a passage overview and summary? Do questions cover the major ideas in the reading? Can be used with pair or whole class? Good scaffold for predicting text structure and organization of content. Teacher leads the class in discussion of the preview findings. So all these things that you see, the questions that you have seen, these kind of questions we normally keep in mind while doing any kind of a representation. And we always try our best to understand whether the class will be successfully responding to your style of questioning or your style of asking questions. And if you can fragment the class into two halves and how successful those two halves can be in terms of giving answers or giving feedback. Also, like I told you, that in a good scaffold, if you're able to predict your context, you predict your text structure, then the content organization happens in a very systematic way. And when the content is organized in a systematic way, the learning outcomes will come in a very calculated manner, the manner in which you have designed or thought about. Teacher also leads the class in a discussion and the preview of the findings. When you discuss, when the child is discussing with you, as a teacher, you must be able to take out a finding to your discussion. फाइंडिंग मतलब एक क्लोजर आप निकालना चाहिए आपको डिस्कशन से कि हमने आज ये डिस्कस किया तो उसका निष्कर्ष ये निकला, उसका ये आउटकम है और इसी तरीके से हम लोग आगे भी करेंगे. तो किसी भी क्लास को अगर आप समराइज करेंगे, तो एंड करेंगे तरीके से, तो उसका इम्पैक्ट ज़्यादा रहेगा. लोगों को पता चलेगा कि ये आज मेरा लर्निंग आउटकम था और ये ऑब्जेक्टिव को मैंने आज फुलफिल किया. Sequence of IA in scaffolding.